Hello there, everybody, and I hope everybody had a good Palm Sunday if you observe. And next week's Easter. I know it seems a little early, but then again, it's one day away from April, so I don't know. It depends on how you look at the time. But anyway, moving right along. Today I've got a quote that I'm really not sure where I got it. Um, I did some research, and it seems to have come more or less a variation thereof from Michelle Sandlin, and I'm going to give her credit. I do have a couple of notes on a sticky paper that I took that I get the sense that I copied from something else, or at least paraphrased from something else, except for the fact that I can't find it. So for the moment, I'm going to have to say that this was ideas that I had, which I thought were fairly brilliant at that point in time, if it was mine. But if this does belong to somebody else and some of you recognize the author, please let me know, and I will be more than happy to give them credit. Because I really don't think that this was totally mine, but who knows? I don't remember. Anyway, with that caveat out of the way, um, and giving credit to Michelle, basically she said, "Don't let setbacks define you," or "setbacks don't define you," or some variation on that particular theme. And I think that this is what happens with a lot of people. We all have setbacks. In fact, most of us have setbacks of some sort every single day. Some of them are small, some of them are large. But the problem is that for many of us rather, we tend to let those setbacks become, in a sense, part of who we are. They're almost like they define who we are. It's becomes part of our psyche, and we say, well, I can't do anything because, and we look at it as some kind of, or the setback, that is, as some kind of reason for why we can't accomplish whatever it is we can't accomplish. I didn't do well in math class in third grade, so I can't do math. That could have been for a number of reasons. A, you could have been sick. B, you didn't like the teacher. Maybe you had a bad textbook. Who knows? But that just because you did poorly in third grade or whenever you did it doesn't necessarily mean that that's got something to do with you. And even if it does that necessarily mean that you're still the same person you were when you were third grade? So, for whatever reason, in third grade, maybe you couldn't catch it. You needed more examples that you've gotten as you've gotten older. Your brain has matured, and you're not the same person you were in third grade. So you're probably picking things up now that you didn't when you were in third grade. That tends to happen for most of us, right? Um, a lot of us need time and experience with certain concepts before they begin to make sense. Because for many of us, we learn X. You might have learned, for example, when you were a child, that 6 things equals half a dozen, but that doesn't necessarily mean you understood the concept of dozen, let alone half a dozen. But now it's fairly common for you. So this is kind of what I mean in the sense that things change over the course of time, and just because it doesn't make sense when you were at one point doesn't have to necessarily continue later. Things do change. I mean, how many of you have basically sworn, to the fact that A, you were never going to go back to school a day in your life after you got out of high school, and then you ended up going back to college? Or maybe you said you'd never read another book or something, and you told yourself at one point in time that you weren't going to do it, because what happened is you'd had some kind of a setback. You told yourself you couldn't do it. You let that define you, and you proceeded to let that definition continue for the rest of your life, or at least up until this point in time. And hopefully today I'll disabuse you of that particular thought. I want to think in terms here of Edison and what is frequently used as an example, his experience with the light bulb. Now, I dug up and did find a quote and attributed him, and this may be where we come up with the number of 1,000. But Edison has said, "I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was an invention that took 1,000 steps." Now think about this. Think about if you say that about you, "I didn't fail 10 times," or "I didn't fail at this 10 times. It was just something that took X steps." See how that feels in you. Doesn't that feel a little bit more empowering? Isn't it actually more truthful? Because if you think in terms of Edison would have said, "Oh, well, I failed 10 times or 20 or whatever it was that he decided to give up on," who knows? Somebody would have invented the light bulb at some point. But that doesn't necessarily mean it wouldn't have been for another 50 years. Who knows? Maybe people would have looked at Edison and said, "Oh, you can't do it." And nobody would have tried it for 75 years for all we know. But when you start taking a look at these things and let yourself be defined by that, then you inhibit yourself. You give yourself some negative thoughts patterns, and it's not going to work because these things don't define you. So think in terms more of, um, that what the setback is a lesson. As Edison said, it's 1,000 steps to get there. So that your setback, you can take a look at it and say, okay, why did this not work? What went wrong? Was I too young? Did I try and make an assumption about something that was incorrect? Did I need more tools or did I need more time? Did I give up too soon? So that you start looking at things and learning from those things and picking that up so you can move forward. Now, for those of you who are parents or you're trainers or teachers or you have people that are your responsibility, and I put that in quotes because it sort of depends on what you mean by responsibility, but let's look at it from the standpoint of parents or even teachers. If you yourself take a look and say that a step back is defining you, what are you teaching to your children? Because as we all know, if you've had children for more than 2 years, they listen to you and watch what you do more so than what you tell them. They're more likely to repeat your behaviors than they are what you tell them to do. So if you tell them to pick yourself up and consider it as yourself as being successful, they're not going to pay attention to you if you count yourself as having setbacks that you can't do because you can't do it because blah blah blah, and go on from there. They'll follow what you do, not what you tell them to do. So if you want your children to learn how to take a look at things and failures as being something as a step in the right direction, you need to emulate that particular behavior. There's another phrase, and I'm not sure where I got it from. Maybe I need to look it up. Fail is equal to first attempt in learning, FAIL. So if you start thinking in terms of that, your setback is just, again, as Edison said, a step toward the direction that you want to go. That's all it is. It's not a setback. It might be making you do something longer than you originally planned, but you can still be successful if you keep trying and figure out what you need to do and you learn from where you made that issue in the first place. Okay? Does this make sense? I hope so. If it doesn't, ask me questions. This is going to be apparently short today. That's cool. You probably won't complain about it a lot. So let me know what's going on. If you want to forward it to somebody because you think it would be helpful, do so. Let me know what you think about it. And if you have any quotes that you want to, send them along to me and I'll be more than happy to discuss them at some point in time. So we will say adios, have a good day, a good week, and enjoy yourself, and we'll see you later. Bye.